evening, everyone. Welcome to our township meeting. We call this meeting into order.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our township meeting. It is Monday, November 25th, 2024. In attendance tonight, we have Supervisor Albert, Supervisor Erler, Supervisor Friedman, Supervisor Ekman, and I'm Supervisor Birmingham. So we do have a quorum for tonight's meeting. Agendas are at the top of the podium, or on the podium. So if you need a copy of the agenda, they're right up there. Just like to say, first off, our thoughts and prayers go out to the Howard family and those at the Chelsea Sun. They had a fire yesterday, and it was not a good fire. Want to thank Mount Bethel Fire Department, North Bangor Fire Department, and the 11 other local and not so local fire departments who came out to lend a hand. Also a thank you to State Trooper Dan Jones, who was the first on the scene, and he went into the Chelsea Sun and shut some doors, and Fire Chief told me had he had not done that, the fire would have been a lot worse than it actually was. So, and thanks to Lynn Manzi for going down there as well, and the Ladies Auxiliary who brought coffee and cookies, and Joe Patillo who brought a bunch of pizza for the firefighters. So we definitely are a community that sticks together and comes together when there is a time of need, and there was a time of need yesterday. So please keep the Howard family and the Chelsea Sun in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you. With that being said, has everybody seen tonight's agenda? Okay. On the agenda for tonight, I'd like to move executive session up to number 5. And then we'll carry down as is. And with that being said, do we have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
And so moved with the change.
Do we have a second?
Second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Public comment is up next, so if you want to make, bless you, if you want to make a public comment, please come up to the podium, give your name and address. Our township manager, Nick, will keep the 3 minutes for us, and I will now open it up for public comment.
Good evening, Michael Onufrak, O-N-U-F-R-A-K, 43 Summerfield Drive. As you all know, the zoning hearing board rendered their decision, which most of us think was the incorrect decision. In accordance with that, we should file an appeal for 2 reasons. One is we think that the DeFelice, the attorney, misread the law and was in error, that the special exception should not have been given to RPL. That's the first reason why it should be appealed. The second appeal has to do with Jeff Manzi. Manzi was asked to recuse himself for a couple of things. He clearly had a conflict of interest with financial dealings that he had personally with Lou Pector. And obviously, you can't force him to recuse. He was asked multiple times by our attorney to recuse, and he refused. And his turned out to be the deciding vote. The vote was 3-2 to grant the special exception. And although they put conditions on it, if you read the conditions, there's no teeth to them. It talks about they have to monitor my well and the other wells on Potomac and Summerfield, but there's nothing in there that says, well, what happens if they find out that my well was polluted from the garbage that was put onto that field by RPL? Plus, in the decision from the zoning hearing board, there is not one mention of the word sludge. And that was brought up multiple times because their experts had no idea that that property had been sludged multiple times. And part of our argument was, you guys didn't check for anything that was in that ground. And now you're gonna add 100 to 125,000 gallons of wastewater every day, whether it's 5 days or 7 days. There's no doubt that whatever is in that ground is gonna get pushed down into the aquifer and into my well and the wells of my neighbors. The bottom line is, we don't have the resources, the UMBT, to continue to fight, to appeal those decisions. We're gonna ask the Board of Supervisors to do that, to pick up the fight where, as far as we went, we can't go any further for financial reasons. We just can't. We're asking the town to do it because we think it's beneficial to the residents of Upper Mount Bethel if you appeal that decision. So that's what I'm asking the town to do when you go into executive session. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else? Executive session? Try that one more time. Anyone else? Public comment? Charlie, yeah.
Charles Cole, 6 Riverton Road. Thank you, John. Along the lines of what Mike said, I was very disappointed that from my environmental municipal point of view, and my background, that the drip irrigation site was approved for that particular piece of land. I feel it environmentally should not have been. And then the conditions that were tagged on the back end of it are, from my interpretation, very vague, difficult to understand. So I will just leave it at that, with that point, not going any further. With respect to data warehouses, I believe that the supervisors of town should have expertise in planning, engineering, and legal to get input, knowledgeable people who have gone through places where there have been data warehouses so that we can learn from them and decide on our own what impacts this might have for us. You never want to make a decision from the point of view of ignorance. You want to know everything you can about something before you decide. And then the third thing, if I have any time left here,
You sure do.
is sort of an interesting thing that I see down at the Siegel Museum. There is an exhibit September 24 through July 25, and the title of it is Warehouse Valley. And I encourage people to go down to it. It explores the Lehigh Valley's rapidly changing landscape, urban development, and geographic role as we compare historic images and paintings to modern photography of the same locations. And it's sort of interesting that this is in the Siegel Museum in the Schrin Gallery. And you may remember that the Schrin Interchange and the Schrin Logistics Park is a major site for warehousing. So go down to the Siegel Museum and see what this exhibit has. Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie. Anyone else? Public comment? Yeah, Tara, come on up.
Good evening, everyone. Tara Mezzanotte. I'm reporting as your I-8611 PennDOT NJDOT municipal liaison. Sorry, I have a bronchitis thing. It's interfering with my ability to talk well. A good update on the NJDOT I-80 side, and that is Warren County was officially noticed that the project, the retaining wall replacement project, which remember, we have no issue with replacing and repairing the critical and 7 panels that needed to be addressed, but the 38 fine panels that they're in question. But the project for the retaining wall has been put off construction at least until 2026. So, and the reason for that was because of the need to do continued consulting parties. That's the National Historic Preservation Act process to coordinate with the National Park Service and NEPA environmental document process, which is what I've been talking about for the past 2 years, and it's what I asked you, shared with you the information about that so that your involvement could be considered in these processes with all the other area municipalities and counties and legislators, all the way up to your federal legislators. And so therefore, I'd like to say that's a win. You know, that means all the efforts that we've been doing collectively in unison on both sides of the river, 3 counties united, produced a result, and that is project delay. And it's not that the goal is project delay, and it's not that the goal is necessarily to stop the project. The goal has been to make sure the required processes for this kind of project are adhered to, that the voice of the counties and the towns and the legislators and the residents and the organizations, that we have an opportunity in that process to have a voice, and that our voice is recognized, and therefore it's a good thing. So that's the first really good update. I feel a weight lifted off of us a little bit, because now I'm not waiting for them to make a record of decision that they're going to not recommend an environmental assessment, for example, and just go forward. Had they made that record of decision that a categorical exclusion was going to be acceptable for reasons I think the majority would agree are inappropriate, we would have had a 45-day rush on what to do about that. So again, thank you, and it's good news. Secondly, I just want to mention that we did have, last meeting, I did ask if you agreed I should go forward and reach out to your state representatives to see what to do about engaging with our new congressional representatives, since Congressman Cartwright, who had the lead with us and for us regarding the projects overall, was no longer going to be there for us in that role. How do you start a new relationship and all that? So that's going well. There's a few things going on behind the scenes, and Representative Flood is reaching out to the new congressman for Northampton County and looking to set things up. So I'll update you accordingly.
Excellent. Thank you.
I'll stick around. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Great.
Good evening, Fred Clark, Crystal Terrace, Upper Mount Bethel. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. On Monday, November 18, 2024, I received written decision of the zoning hearing board on appeal number 2023-1 where the applicant, Riverpoint Logistics LLC, requested zoning relief as follows: a special exception to construct an off-site disposal field as a public and essential use in accordance with Section 4.202. For the hearings on this matter, I was granted party status, along with the Mount Bethel Board of Supervisors and several other citizens. I spent many hours studying the technical aspects of the proposal, attended all of the hearings, listened to experts on both sides, questions to ask experts, provided my own public comments, and listened to public comments of others. Taking all the information from these activities into account, and having read the decision and opinion of the board dated November 16, 2024, from the zoning hearing board, My wife and I have concluded the board has not fulfilled its obligation to protect the public in this decision and ask the Board of Supervisors to appeal it. As the 38 clock to appeal is ticking, I ask you to consider this action during your executive session today. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, public comment?
Sharon Duffield, 554 Potomac. We've already heard from other residents. We've gotten a notification of the determination, and as was just stated, we know the clock is ticking, so that is a big concern to us. And I too am here to ask for an appeal of that decision. Having attended all the hearings, like a lot of other folks here, we see several problems with the decision. We have concerns over the decision, how it was determined. So we're asking that you consider, as promptly as you can, the possibility of an appeal of that decision. I'm also here because I've not been able to attend a lot of meetings because of my work schedule, but I've been following the press, the information that's being put out by the press, and of course, you don't know how much of that is completely legit, but over the last several months, there's been a lot of discussion about the data center in the press. And when I saw Anthony Salomone of the Morning Call kind of break the story out there, I found it interesting that it hit the papers that way. One of the things that's been bothering me in reading this and watching what's happening with the Limerick Power Plant and with the Susquehanna and different things that's going on. Data centers are huge, huge. Right now they're a big, big deal. And there is a lot of money that is at play. Amazon paid $650 million for a nuclear powered data center in Pennsylvania. That's one of the articles that hit. So the point I'm trying to make is where we're sitting is we're in a critical position. This could be a good thing. It could also be a bad thing. As in any decision, if you sat in any kind of a class on how you make decisions in business, used to be the old thing was the fishbone diagrams and decision trees and all this cool stuff. But it all starts with one thing. That one thing is information. And in order to make any kind of a decision or know how to move forward, know how to trust, you have to have information. So I am here asking that we get proper information. We get help. This is not something that is a small thing. This is huge. And it has to proceed correctly. If you read about what's going on in Virginia, you read about what's going on in Ohio, you read about what's already been in place in New York. These are going to continue to be built. The demand for AI and for hoarding of information is humongous. And there's a lot of money, and it is critical, and it is needed. And if we have folks who want to do this, and they want to do it here, then we need to make sure we know what we are dealing with and what we are talking about. And I'm asking that we get proper help from folks who know the subject matter really, really well. And that we do it in time enough to make sure we're taking the proper steps along the pathway. And we don't end up blindsided because we didn't get the information you needed right away. And if this is deemed to be a good thing, that we capitalize as much as we can for our township on it, and that we protect as much as we can our township with what might be the downside. And there's always a full picture, and I just don't want us to not have learned anything and see only a very narrow one. So that's what I'm here asking for. Thanks for listening, folks.
Thank you. Anyone else, public comment? Yeah, go ahead, Judy.
Howard Judith Henkel, 1752 Auburn Road. Forget that. Yeah, I just want to echo every single thing Sharon just said, because it was going to be what I was going to do before talking about executive session and data centers. Because basically I'm saying that we need, more than just regional, you need to get the best people you can who are going to come in here as your consultant planner, who know what is going on in this area of expertise on this topic, but that they give you the facts. And when you go back to planning, which is where I'm wanted to start in the beginning, but when you go to planning, there's the SWOT thing. There's what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses? What are the opportunities you would have here, but what are the threats to it? And so that needs to be fact-based. And obviously, in our township, like maybe in the rest of the country or the world, we're kind of divided on whether we're getting what we all consider our own facts. And I'm just saying, I really hope you look at this clearly and with an eye onto what this brings to the future of our township. It can, whatever. But let me go back to, I was going to start with the whole idea of planning, that our township just got the $600,000 grant for the preserve. Bear Swamp area just got 550 or 25 or 50 or something. That was half of the money allocated to the county. And it wasn't just because we were nice people or that we played nice and get along. Part of this is partnership. But a lot of it is your planning. And so I will go back to 20 years maybe when we started. We had the park, recreation, and open space plan that committee people, members of the community spent monthly meetings for maybe a year or more and got that passed. That then led, and that was a compilation of all the data for parks, the whole thing, recreation and for open space. But that then led to doing another plan for the park, the community park study and plan. So you had it planned out, here's what you have, here are your assets, here's what you can do with them. You get consultants, you get people coming in to help you plan this out in the best, most efficient way that fits your community. So from that, we did the open space and advisory plan. We also, it was our township that got the grant for maybe $80,000 or $90,000 to do the Martin Tobey Watershed Association study. And then down the road, we had some wild and scenic money matched with our township to do the groundwater study. So all of this together means that you've gone out there, you've collected all your data, you put it together in a reasonable way that can be understood, showing what are the things you can do in the future. Now granted, you can make some changes on that down the road. So what I'm getting to here is, that's exactly what the Wild and Scenic study is asking you. Can we have your approval to do a study of our stream services, the river, to see how we can put all that data together, which down the road would be useful in either getting grant money or having partnerships with others. And if I want to really expand on that in the future, that also applies to the Plan Slate Comprehensive Plan, where we will be partnering with 8 other municipalities in our area. So all of that means you don't willy-nilly go out and get pressure from the public one way or the other. You actually look at what you have. How is it going to benefit the community, the people, and sometimes the people don't know the best. They don't have all the best information. So that's on your shoulders. And I really want to say, I understand the predicament you're in with all the lawsuits we've been having lately, and not wanting to make a misstep, but that is also limiting your ability to talk with the citizens and to be able to gain information on what is best for us. I know things have to stay confidential, but all we're saying, just like Sharon and some of the others have said about the appeal and whatever, this is a really difficult time. I'm not sure it's going to get any better, but hopefully you all can make the right decisions that get us on the right path. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Anyone else? Public comment? Ron had your hand up and then Marty.
think I could be the voice of reason. I had standing. I've read the transcript from beginning to end. I like, Mr. Chairman, your comments, which you said representing the township should be done by the zoning hearing board. And their end decision actually met every requirement that was being asked for by the citizens and by the Board of Supervisors. So I'd be curious to know if you're going to file an appeal, and I'm sure you've got learned counsel here tonight, and you got one of the top firms in the Lehigh Valley. I don't have law degrees, but I'd be curious to know on what grounds you would follow an appeal, or file an appeal. Because quite frankly, everything in there that you had wanted is in that decision. So you're going to be appealing that decision, which covered everything that was being asked for by River Point. Kind of mind-boggling. So now, getting to Amazon, it's pretty evident there's still a group of people who wants to throw up roadblocks to Amazon. This is a data center, yes, and AI is here for years to come. And frankly, if you want a good choice to buy NVIDIA. That's a good leader with the AI. But besides that, people didn't want warehouses, they didn't want truck traffic. So now you've got the opportunity to have a data center, no warehouses. This is a data center, no warehouses, minimal truck traffic, good paying jobs. I would sooner see the Board of Supervisors negotiating with Amazon for things that would benefit the township, because Amazon is a pretty big operation, quite frankly. They're on the stock exchange. And I'm sure they'd like to know we want them to come here, and I, for one, would think we would, because we now have something without all these other things. No warehouses, no truck traffic. So my suggestion would be, one of the things that has concerned everybody in this township for quite some time now is the garbage bills. And I understand that. So it's a grind for a lot of people to come up with the money. So I would say, instead of throwing up roadblocks like some of these people would have you do and fight Amazon, why not negotiate with Amazon? Our citizens here have a problem. There's many senior citizens, many people can't pay their garbage bills. Would you be willing to pick up the, what's that? 27, okay. Would you be willing to pay the garbage bills for all the citizens of the township? Those are the kind of things you should be doing with Amazon right now. And again, Amazon can go anywhere. If we had the opportunity to have them come here, it's great for us, quite frankly. And they could do a lot of wonderful things, but you need to talk to them and show them that we'd like them to be here, instead of throwing up the roadblocks. But again, I'll be curious to hear later if you are going to appeal that decision, on what grounds.
Thank you. Marty.
Marty Penner, 39 Lindsay Lane, Mount Bethel. I don't know if the board really knows, but you have two gentlemen in this room that are highly, highly trained in data centers. And that's your IT guy who actually works for a company that designs and builds them. He's too humble to say that, but he is. His son works for the same company and actually has his National Security Agency clearance. These are two of the most reputable people that are our citizens that can give you feedback on exactly that. Okay? Number two, we're talking about data centers. If you've done the financial digging into what the build-out of these centers are, and especially the ones that have been done, especially out in Berwick and south of us, you're talking $16 billion. That's a hell of a rateable at $16 billion. You could fundamentally get rid of property taxes in this town when this thing is fully done. You could, as a board, because of the cash flow that will come there. The school district will have so much money, they'll be able to build new football stadium, whatever they want, honestly, or have a new high school. Amazon, if you've done the research, will seriously invest into the education of our children. They will put in and make this a technology hub of Pennsylvania.
It is absolutely amazing, and you all have the decision. I'll go to a Yogi Berra quote. You come to the fork in the road. Now you have to take it. You can either do warehouses and manufacturing with trucks, a sewer plant, and everything else, or you can go and do a data center that has no trucks, will not need a sewer plant, and will bring a hell of a lot higher taxable rateable to this township and better for our school district. If it doesn't go one way or the other, you all are going to have to live with the decision that you made. But, hey, I'd love to not pay taxes in this town, and that's a real possibility at the end of this, if we can get this thing done.
Thank you, Marty. Yeah, what were you gonna say first?
Just since I only used about 1 minute of my time, I just want to get on the record if I can. No, I only need 1 minute.
Go ahead.
All right. I want to say on the record, I've always thought that data center makes sense for this. All right. So I'm not opposed to that. But if the data center comes in and we get concessions from Amazon, I want them to move that drip field onto their own property. That's always been my point, my point of contention. Well, whatever, they're gonna need to get rid of water, just get rid of it on your own property. I'm good with that, all right? That's all.
Thank you. Mark?
Mark Mester, 114 Scenic Court. The data center idea, I think, could be a tremendous opportunity for this town. As Martin said, $16 billion. It's a bigger arrangement than this town has ever had to deal with in its entire history. When you're dealing with companies at that level, okay, nickel and dime for different things like garbage bills, yeah, okay, but the real value is going to be in profit sharing with that corporation. And we need somebody who can understand how it's done with a company like Amazon or others like Amazon to build the best benefits for this community. And it isn't just the Upper Mount Bethel community. This is going to be big enough where you're going to have to deal with multiple localities, probably the county and most likely the state as well. So you're sitting on top of what I think could be the goose that really lays the golden egg, and it's really up to you guys to make the decisions to put this in place. And I think it starts by getting somebody who can understands the business and understands how to interface with those types of companies in this type of industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone else? Going once, going twice, move on. Okay, Fidelity Bank is here. They're going to do a presentation for us. So Adam, welcome to the podium. Welcome to Upper Mount Bethel.
Always good to be back in Upper Mount Bethel. So, just at your request, I came out just to talk a little bit about the bond portfolio that we put some of the excess funds for the township in. I've given the supervisors kind of a breakdown. As of right now, you're doing very well. The portfolio is pretty much doing what it's doing. We expect that it should yield over $90,000 in interest over the next year. We've also found some really good opportunities out there with some farm loans and some federal housing loans which are Act 10 compliant. What we're seeing is rates are starting to come down, but interestingly, long-term rates, anything more than 24 months in government entities, has actually been unmoved. So we've kind of moved the township into some duration, and right now, your yield to maturity is about 4.5% across all the portfolios. So it's pretty much doing what it was designed to do, pretty much is what your investment policy statement stated. And I think and you should also be seeing some nice income as some of these notes will be maturing at the end of November and in December. So I think you're in the right products right now. I think we've really got some nice yield and some nice duration. And basically, You're pretty much in the safest things that we can find out there. Do you folks have any questions that I can answer for you?
Any questions from the supervisors?
We're more or less pretty limited what we can invest in.
Correct. You're pretty much CDs, money markets, and anything from the United States government. But my contact information is in the packets that I provided for you. So if any of you have any questions, you want to shoot me an email, give me a phone call, I'm happy to speak with you, go through anything, any questions you might have. Even if you want to meet in person, individually, I'm happy to go ahead and do that for any of you.
I just have one. My only concern was the bonds.
Mhm.
Federal bonds. What is your anticipated outlook on those?
The federal bonds you're in right now, the duration is actually pretty good. We're looking at durations that are like 3 years or more, so your outlook is fine. As we kind of will see interest rates probably coming down over the next year, duration is your friend, and right now you got a good friend in duration.
And we'll keep, Nick will keep a packet, if any resident wants to come and take a look. For transparency purposes, you can come see Nick, and he'll be happy to let you look at his portfolio.
I just have one question. Under U.S. government agency obligations, why is the market value less than the cost?
Because we just purchased them, so they haven't begun to pay interest yet.
Okay.
So as soon as they
So
begin,
that's what you just moved into?
correct. We had a couple of short-term bonds come due, so we moved them into those because yield's pretty good. I mean, one of them's yielding 4.5, the other one's yielding a little over 5%. So they pay interest semi-annually, so about 6 months from the purchase date, which was September, that would put us into like April, March.
And our duration in that is 24 months?
No, the duration in that, you have a maturity of 2034 and 2032.
Okay, I see that.
Yeah. So that's gonna be a great rate. As soon as the first interest payment comes out, you'll see it really be attractive and market value increase.
Okay, any other questions?
And just the other thing, because we know that these funds may be used in the future, if there ever needs to be a disbursement taken from them, we'll make sure we take the disbursement from the best possible vehicle within the portfolio too.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you guys for coming out, appreciate your time.
No problem, and just want to say we really value the relationship and happy to do business with you.
Great, thank you. All right, that moving on, we will go into executive session. We're going into executive session for a couple of legal matters, and we'll come out and let you know if any action is to be taken. It is 7:39 p.m. We'll be back. Hey, Ron.
You're gonna.
It's right above her. Give me 1 second, I just need a quick restroom break and then we'll get started.
No.
Lee McDonald will get up and sing for you all right now, he's got talent. Mark, not so much talent, Lee has talent. Thank you. All right, we'll call this meeting back into order. It's 8:44 p.m. We went back into executive session, and Ron, if you could just give us a quick summary of that.
Yes, the executive session dealt with comprehensive discussions with respect to the zoning hearing board decision and legal basis and/or factual basis for potential appeals and matters to that. And related to that, there was also a personnel matter with respect to hiring some additional individuals with respect to the I-3 and I-2 zone. So those are the two matters which were discussed at length. Also as part of the executive session was Attorney Adrian Cousins, the township alternate solicitor. Since he had handled the matter before the zoning hearing board, he would be the attorney that would be filing any appeal if an appeal would be filed.
Okay, thank you, Ron. With that being said, are there any motions to come out of the executive
As a
session?
point of order, you clearly said legal, okay, but you went back with your engineer, that wouldn't be legal. What did you need an
Ron.
engineer for that was legal?
The engineer spoke with respect to the various conditions that were adopted by the zoning hearing board and whether or not those conditions would affect how and if an appeal should be filed.
Shouldn't that have been done in the public?
Ron,
Yeah.
you have a chance for your public comment.
Yeah.
That being said, are there any actions to be taken out of executive session?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to have the township alternate solicitor, Mr. Cousins, review the hearing transcripts and documents as to whether there are any legal or factual basis to appeal the zoning hearing board decisions, and that Mr. Cousins will report to the Board of Supervisors at the meeting of December 9th, 2024.
So Cindy, we'll need that on the agenda, please. Is there a second for the motion?
I second that motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
I'd like to report back when?
December 9th.
That's your next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, and as you heard the summary from Solicitor Karasak, are there any other actions to be taken?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we retain a consultant to determine the best use of the township's I-2 and I-3 zoning districts at a cost not to exceed $5,000, and it will be reviewed and changed as time goes by and as necessitated.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
That's not to exceed 5,000.
5,000.
Not to exceed, though.
Not to exceed 5,000. But maybe review and change as necessary.
Okay, moving back on to section now 6, action items. We are on resolution 2024-27, emergency operations plan. Nick?
Yes, Mr. Chair. These were produced by Lindsay and Cindy. These are every 2 years, I think, you have to do these? Yeah, so Lindsay couldn't make it tonight, so here I am, I'm gonna read them for you. This is Upper Mount Bethel Township, Northampton County Resolution 2024-27. This resolution approved and adopted by the Upper Mount Bethel Township Board of Supervisors on the date hereinafter set forth. Whereas Section 7503 of the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Services Code, 35 PACS Section 7101 et sec, mandates the Upper Mount Bethel Township prepare, maintain, and keep current an emergency operations plan for the prevention and minimization of injury, damage caused by a major emergency or disaster within Upper Mount Bethel Township. And whereas in response to the mandate stated above, Upper Mount Bethel Township has prepared an emergency operations plan to provide prompt and effective emergency response procedures to be followed in the event of a major emergency or disaster. And as whereas Upper Mount Bethel Township has also prepared an emergency operations plan in order to reduce the potential effects of major emergency or disaster and to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the residents of Upper Mount Bethel Township. Now therefore, we, the undersigned Board of Supervisors of Upper Mount Bethel Township, do hereby approve, adopt, and place in immediate effect the emergency operations plan of Upper Mount Bethel Township. This plan shall be reviewed every 2 years to make certain that it conforms to the requirements of the Northampton County Emergency Operations Guideline. The resolution being duly presented by motion and duly seconded was adopted by the Board of Supervisors in a regular meeting held on the 20th day of November 24th.
Okay. And Lynn had said that the reason he needs this resolution is for going for certain grants, I believe.
Yeah, that, and it's required by the county.
Yeah.
That we have a plan.
Yeah, exactly.
And I give credit to Lindsay, he does really due diligence on
Yeah.
this, and does a good job with it, so. And the other one too, that I'm gonna read.
Okay, with that being said, do we have a motion to approve resolution 2024-27?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up is Lehigh Valley 2024 Hazard Mitigation Plan Update. And Nick, if you're gonna read this, I think you just need to read the first 4 whereas clauses.
Whereas the Township of Mount Bethel, Northampton County, Pennsylvania is most vulnerable to natural and non-natural hazards, which may result in loss of life, property, economic hardship, and threats to public health and safety. And whereas Section 322 of the Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000 requires state and local governments to develop and submit for approval to the President a mitigation plan that outlines process of identifying their respective natural hazards, risks, vulnerabilities, and whereas the Township of Upper Mount Bethel acknowledges the requirements of Section 322 of BMA 2000 to have an approved hazard mitigation plan as prerequisite to receiving post-disaster hazard mitigation grant programs. And whereas the Lehigh Valley 2018 Hazard Mitigation Plan has been developed by Lehigh County Emergency Services and Northampton County Emergency Management Services in cooperation with the county departments and officials and citizens of Upper Mount Bethel Township.
Okay, with that being said, do we have a motion to approve resolution 2024-28?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Has anyone, well, I haven't seen the Lehigh Valley 2018 hazard mitigation plan. Where can I get a copy of it?
Check it with Buck and ask Lindsay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate to enact something that I don't know what exactly is in it and what the town is supposed to be doing.
Right.
I trust Lindsay in making the proper decision for the town, but it's kind of hard to vote on something if I don't know what we're actually enacting.
Does Lynn need this for tonight?
I think he does, actually. Yeah, unfortunately couldn't be here to explain more in depth, but it seems like it's another issue that just is a continuation of one that was, I think this has to be done every 2 years too as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not something new. But I can't give you specific answers to your question, John.
Is this the exact plan that we followed for
It's a
2 years?
continuation that you actually,
Save.
yeah.
Okay.
Every 2 years.
Any other discussion? Okay, with that being said, is, all those in favor of approving resolution 2024-28, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Ordinance 2024-04, weight limit and sign ordinance. Ron?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I have prepared the ordinance for the last meeting dealing with the weight limits on the roads, and then I realized that there are also turning restrictions on the various roads, no right turn, no left turn, no trucks, etc. So I've added that to the ordinance, and those prohibitions would be found on sections 2 and 3 of the ordinance, and I just am asking to make certain that those are the correct restrictions with respect to the turns, because frankly, the traffic and engineering study was, for me anyway, not such an easy read, and I basically was looking at the maps that were provided in order to add the language with respect to the turns and where they should be made, not be made, etc. So, assuming they are all okay, I can then, with a motion, advertise the ordinance for adoption at your December meeting.
Justin, do we have the,
Yeah, if you look on Exhibit 2, it shows the proposed signage. Shows the no left turns for trucks, no right turns for trucks.
this is for trucks though, not for passenger vehicles.
Correct, weight limit 10 tons. It's all restricted from weight limit 10 tons.
Is that Exhibit B?
Exhibit 2,
But that'll be posted right next to the no truck things, so passenger vehicles won't be confused if they can't make a right turn or left turn there.
correct.
Oh,
And the ordinance says in section 3 that those turning restrictions apply to trucks. So again, I believe they're correct. I know Justin did not do the engineering and traffic study, so I don't want to put him on the spot. But if in fact the fella in his office who did that work confirms that I did properly note the turning restrictions, etc., I think the ordinance can be advertised and it can go.
That's where you need the motion.
Yeah, for a motion to advertise.
Okay.
Because we didn't really make a motion to advertise the last time. I think it was just put over to tonight for further discussion.
Okay, any other questions from the supervisors? Do we have a motion to, a motion to advertise ordinance 2024-04?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next up is North Bangor heating equipment. And this is, the chief's not here tonight, right? Oh, you're speaking?
I'm speaking.
Okay. So, yeah, I guess if you can just explain to us, and of course, thank you for coming out yesterday at the Chelsea Sun.
No problem.
With your brothers and sisters, appreciate that. So if you could just explain to us, what this equipment is needed for.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Tom Austin on behalf of the North Niagara Fire Company. So the heating and cooling equipment is going forth to be used for our social hall / shelter. The reason we're specifically on a push right now in getting this accomplished is when we began shopping about a month ago for this equipment, we found that the system that we're looking for specifically, we're on the same boat tonight, John. I'm losing my mind. The 410A system is being phased out at the end of the year. The reason we have to go with that system is because half of our social hall has already had that system installed. We're looking to finish it. If we went a different route with going a new system at the end of the year, the price would triple, if not quadruple, in doing a whole new system. So that's our aspect in trying to get it done now. We have licensed technicians on our staff. We're looking at doing the work ourselves in-house, so we're just looking for equipment, no labor costs in getting this accomplished.
So you had to buy them now because they're gonna go up?
They're going, so the units that we need, are being phased out. They'll be obsolete as of the new year.
Okay. Okay, and then, basically, what the chief was asking for was whether the township, because I think you guys took payment out of your truck fund, to pay for this, right? I believe that.
Out of our general truck fund, yeah. So what we've been doing is, so we received the and I don't want to misquote myself, I believe the ARPA fund, which was all placed towards our tanker. That clears us for 5 years worth of payments. We began rebuilding the truck fund to ensure that we cover the payments for that truck after those funds run out. So we're looking at taking the money out of that general truck fund we have, if you will, to cover this outside if we can't get the assistance.
Okay. And basically, you're looking to see if the township is willing to kick in any money towards this?
That's correct, John, yes.
Okay, any questions from the supervisor?
I think when I spoke with Todd, he said it was almost, if you don't do it now, it's almost $60,000 that you're gonna have.
Yeah, so, and that's what I
next year.
mean, so the set price, I have the quote in front of me, is $8,395.08. And, as Supervisor Albert said, that'll go somewhere between $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 if we have to completely tear out what is done already and start from scratch.
Okay.
So you're taking this out of your truck fund?
Out of the general, so I want to make sure I square this away, so out of the general truck fund for payments that will be taken care of after the ARPA money runs out and what's there for the tanker, so in 5 years.
Are you going to replenish the truck fund in this amount?
That would be correct, yes.
And from what, next year's allocation?
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay. So you're basically giving yourself a loan?
In lack of better terms, that would make sense, yes.
So you're saying that the system that you have partially installed is going to be obsolete as of next year?
Correct, the 410A system will. So here, I think I know you're going to go with this by jumping the gun, please forgive me. When that system needs repair, service, any of that, no. The equipment for repairs and service, miscellaneous parts, if you will, like your starters and batteries in your car, will still be available. So I can still go out and buy a 2010 Ford Focus parts, but I can't buy the whole car anymore, if that makes sense.
Okay. That is where I was headed.
I just wanted to be understood that, that the truck fund could be reimbursed for this.
Yes, yep, absolutely.
Okay, any other questions? Is there a motion?
Do we have the funds here for this allocated?
No, we don't.
We don't.
No. They're funds that were allocated, we give it to them both.
And then would we be able to subtract subtract this from the allocation for next year.
Well, we could do that if we agree to it, yeah.
What if we don't pay the whole amount, what if we would split it to make it easier on them, cover some?
I mean, you know, what did they do with the $104,000 that we gave them? That money is that's what this project is, you know, this project could be taken out of that account, not their truck fund.
So there was money already accounted for?
Well, no, you know, we give them their money, what they do with it, they show us in March.
Right.
And, we go over their account, see what the fund was spent for. They have a surplus, both of them, so, which is fine. Every year, we give them $500,000 each. And the money that's in the account now is building for next year. You know, so you take that money out of it, it's gonna have to come out of the general fund. Where you're going to take that from, I don't know. But beware that, what we give to North Main, we have two different departments. Mount Bethel needs money, you know, everybody's not gonna have to do it. And I get it.
The question is, do we have the, what is it, is it $8,890.78
Give me 1 second to pull that up.
Yeah.
The PDF closes every time I put it on. So the total fund, or the total price is $8,395.08. Well, and I just want to say, while the full amount would be phenomenal, obviously I get it. Anything else outside of that, though. So.
Okay. And if you want to pay it, if you want to pay it out of the tax fund, then we deduct it for next year. If they want to do that, that's fine. If we want to front the money to them to help them, then it's a wash.
Yeah, and that's the supervisor's call.
Yeah, I think we should do that as stipulation. It'll be understood that this amount will have to be subtracted from your next year's allocation.
So, again, I apologize. With that then, I think I would like Todd here to talk on it more, so if maybe we could table it until the next meeting, that would be excellent.
Okay.
I do understand that this isn't for the fire station itself, this is for their hall and their emergency preparedness, which are kind of scraping and scrounging together.
Yeah.
That is a huge benefit for all the residents that are around there.
I personally see the benefit to this. I don't have an issue with it. I'm fine with allocating the money to them, you know, and we do both, you know, we help out Mount Bethel Fire Company, we help out North Bangor Fire Company, and I think these guys are mature to say it's not gonna be you know, they get something, so now we better get something. If there's a need, you come to us and then we decide. Obviously, they have a need, and if it's for a hall that's gonna benefit residents who may be displaced during an emergency situation, then obviously it's good for the township. But if we're now trying to figure out whether it's gonna be taken out of next year's allocation or not, then let's table it and let's get the fire chief here and talk about it more.
When you start taking things from your truck, I think it should be questioned, and we should have some accountability for that. That's all. So I make a motion to table the, December 9th, the, North Bangor heating equipment.
Okay, do we have a second?
It's not gonna affect your time.
Is that gonna affect your timeline, or?
You said the next meeting is December 9th, correct?
Correct.
It shouldn't affect the timeline now.
Okay.
The time, you guys already bought the system, right?
We're in the process of buying. I don't know if they pulled the trigger with the supplier or not, but I know we will be purchasing it no matter what. I can say that before the end of the year.
Okay, so do we have a second on the motion to table this into December 9th?
Yeah. I'd like to table it till we see.
Okay, so you second it?
Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. So we have four yea and one nay, so it will be tabled to December 9th. All right, thank you. Yep. Next up, draft letter to Northampton County, Philip Jones minor subdivision. across that. Sorry, Jeff. Supervisor Earler, Transportation Advisory Committee.
This is to fill the seat for resolution 2024-25, the creation of the Transportation Advisory Committee. There were 5 letters of interest. Jeff, if you want to come up and say anything. Okay. There are 5 seats, and there are 5 letters of intent. Do you want to go over them one by one, or read them out and go over them?
I think you just give us the names.
Okay, we have Michael Onyefrak, who sent one in. Fran Vizicaro.
We all have copies of the letters of interest.
Myself, Jonathan Erler. Jeff Williams and Peter Coyle are the 5 members.
Okay.
And I would say, Mr. Chair, that if you're going to appoint these individuals this evening, you note who is going to be the 5-year term, the 4-year term, the 3-year term, and the 1-year term. There's 5, 4, 2, 3s, and 1.
And John, you are going to be a member, so he can be a member and the liaison, right? Yeah. Okay.
And it's 3, 2, 2, 1, 1.
3, 2, 2, 1.
Correct.
Okay, are there any questions about the candidates who have submitted a letter of interest?
Ron, since I am an interested party, would I abstain from this vote?
I don't think you need to. You're not getting any pecuniary benefit from this, nor are you, your family receiving any.
No, just increasing my workload.
So I don't think you need to, but if you want to, you certainly can.
Any questions about,
Well, we have to establish it. I recommend Mr. Williams for the 3, Mr. Coyle for the 3, Mr.
3, 2, 2, 1, 1.
Right, Mr. Williams for the 3, Mr. Coyle for the 2, you just went down pages there. Fran for the 2, and Mr. Earl for the 1.
and we need one more.
Michael, I'm sorry, Michael, on the back.
Mike, you're not going to wear the Dodgers hat to any of those meetings, are you?
I think Mike is still asleep.
Yeah, I intended and my Dodger polo shirt, 2024 champion.
We'll keep that in mind as we go for the vote.
Mr. Freeman, you said that, can you read that over? Michael was 1, Fran, you said was...
The first one was Mr.
So Jeff Williams is a 3-year term, Peter Coyle is 2-year term, Fran is a 2-year term, you and Mike are both 1-year terms.
Jeff says okay.
Okay, is there a motion to be made?
I'll make the motion that we establish the Transportation Advisory Committee with the membership as listed. Mr. Williams 3 years, Mr. Coyle 2 years, Fran Vizicaro 2 years, Mr. Earler 1 year, Mr. Onyefrak 1 year.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye. And as a,
I'm sorry. Motion carries 4-0 and Supervisor Earler abstained.
and I'd have to make a motion that we instruct Mr. Karasak to draw up a resolution establishing this ordinance or resolution.
Well, there was some discussion, in fact, I owe Mr. Williams a response to an email, which I just haven't had a chance to get to, but their response from citizens about whether or not this should be a ordinance as opposed to a resolution, similar to perhaps ordinances that were adopted for the Open Space Committee or for the Environmental Advisory Board, etc. I did it as a resolution because I did not believe that an ordinance was necessary, However, if it appears that there is some concern about that, it's a simple matter for me to simply advertise and note this as an ordinance, along with having it done in that fashion if the supervisors believe that's necessary. The concern by one of the, I believe Mr. Williams, was being able to deal with, say, like PennDOT in certain fashions by just a resolution as opposed to the power of an ordinance. I'm not sure if that's that critical, but again, I'll do whatever the supervisors would like to do in that regard.
And since there seems to be some concern, I make the motion that we do draw up an ordinance for this committee.
And note that in that ordinance, the net people whom you voted on this evening would be part of the ordinance as to the initial terms.
Okay, is there a second for the motion?
I second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thank you, Jeff, and thank you everyone else who volunteered your time to be part of the committee. Scott, you're up. Draft letter to Northampton County Philip Jones Minor Subdivision.
Yes, to rehash and just in summary, over the summer, we processed and approved the Philip Jones subdivision where it's going to do 3 2-acre lots, one each year, to work within the Act 319 guidelines. So before doing that plan, I kind of got an opinion from the township and the High Planning and the assessor's office that, yeah, we can do it that way. So we go through all that process, we go to record the plan. The assessor says, oh no, we wanted a separate map for each one of the lots processed, which they never said in the beginning. So after some discussion, we got them to agree to accept the plan as is, and it'll apply to the 3 conveyances, just like we planned. But they want a letter from the township saying it's okay to use that same plan for the 3 conveyances, which we were going to anyway. So it's a little redundant, and I think this is a CYA thing on their end. So I'm asking for a simple 1-paragraph letter from the township to the assessors, to the recorder's office, saying you are fine with recording the plan as intended.
Sure. Ron? Well, again, I've looked at this. I don't see any legal problems with this, except that I've never written a 1-paragraph letter.
So your bill is going to be under $150 an hour?
So in any event, I don't see any problem with this at all. And if the board is of a mind to grant that motion and direct me to do the letter, I will do so.
Okay, is there a motion to be made by any of the supervisors?
So moved.
Was there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion?
Justin, there's no issues on your.
No.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you for your time and making this easy.
Scott, you want me to send it to you? You want me to send it to assessment? Where do you want me to send it to?
If you would address it to Kyle, to the assessor, to the recorder's office.
And we have that in your letter, right? Who you got the?
Yes. Well, Kyle Wheeler is actually in the assessment mapping department.
Okay.
Maybe recorder and assessor office.
Just so I don't drop the ball or screw it up, send me an email tomorrow and say, here's the name and address.
Okay, will do.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. All right, next up, section 7, tabled items, garbage bill discount. Nick?
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is basically a reiteration of what we spoke about prior to Attorney Karras had putting this together for a resolution. You want me to read the whole thing?
No. Just go read the first 4 whereas, please.
Okay. So whereas the Township of Upper Mount Bethel is duly authorized township of the 2nd class and municipality situated within the county of Northampton County, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, with offices located at 387 U.L. Highway, Mount Bethel, Pennsylvania, 18343, and whereas the township is governed by the PA 2nd Class Township Code 53, PS Section 65101, that's it. Whereas the code allows Township Board of Supervisors to establish, alter, charge, and collect rates for the collection, removal, and disposal of waste and recycling materials. Section 53 PS, Section 67, 105, and whereas the township has entered into waste collections contract with Waste Management of Pennsylvania Incorporated for the collection of residential garbage and recyclables. You want me to go into
Let me suggest, Mr. Chair, that the manager reads section 2, 3, 4, and 5 of the resolution. That's
Sure.
the meat of what's being
Yeah,
done,
I
and
agree.
everyone will then know what's going on.
Sure.
Yeah, so if you can do that, Nick, that
Yep,
would be
section,
great.
section 2, if payment of the township garbage bill is received in hand by the township's collection agent, Berkheimer, no later than April 30th of the billable year, a 10% discount on said bill will be provided. Section 3, for example, in the 2025 calendar year, the base amount of the garbage bill is $543.75. And with a 10% discount, the discounted amount would be $489.38, plus a Berkheimer fee of $7.25, for a total fee of $496.63. Section 4, this 10% discount shall continue on an annual basis unless otherwise amended, altered, changed, or vacated by the Township Board of Supervisors. Did you want section 5?
Just do section 5.
Yeah.
All right, if a township resident is unable to pay the garbage bill by the discount period of April 30th of the billable year, she may continue to pay that basic rate plus the Berkheimer fee on an installment payment, i.e. monthly basis, provided that the full amount of the base rate plus the fee is received by the township in hand on or before December 31st of the billable year.
Okay, thank you, Nick.
All right.
All right, so that's where we're at. On our next year will be our last year of our contract with Waste Management. So, as we've discussed, as we've mentioned, we will be looking to see if we can get a better deal, or if we can get another company in here who can take care of the residents' garbage. So we will be looking into that. Because our contract, like I said, ends December of 2025. But with that being said, this resolution, if approved by the supervisors, gives residents a chance at a 10% discount if you pay the full amount by a certain date. I think it was April 30th.
Yeah, April.
Any questions from the supervisors? Okay, do we have a motion to adopt resolution 2024-29?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to adopt resolution 2024-29.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Nick. Resolution 2024-21. This is the expansion study that Tara had advised us on. We had discussions about, in talking to the other supervisors and talking to residents, is to obtain a lot more feedback, and even myself, I'll be the first to say, I need a lot more information on this. So that's the reason that we're tabling it. We just want to make sure we're making an informed decision. So I'd like Cindy to talk to you about when we can schedule this. This may be a separate, town hall meeting that we have, because this is a pretty big issue. So with that being said, I'd like to make a motion to table this with a date in the future to be announced. Does that make sense?
If you can coordinate with Tara,
Yeah.
so she can have everything ready and be available for said discussion.
She already gave me the thumbs up.
But this is just for the study.
This is just a study.
This isn't even the adoption of it. So I think starting the study, and then once we get all the information of how we want to proceed, then maybe that would be the time to hold a town hall when we can actually present more information. Like, this is what we found. These are the changes that might be made. I think starting the study is something that we can do now, and there won't be any effect until it's actually adopted.
and it's no cost.
We get information out of it. I don't,
And we have the stuff to go back on. Ron sent us a bunch of information.
yeah, I was reading
Because we have nothing to
articles
compare.
from
All the
the
articles.
paper that you sent us about
Right.
the various topics.
But we have nothing to compare it to, because I don't have the study. Like I have
Exactly.
everything else but a study.
It's a good point. It is a.
It doesn't lock us into anything.
It does not.
And it doesn't-
So there's not, if you approve this resolution, you're still required to make a decision upon the completion of this study of all the tributaries and all the segments to endorse or not. So
I still
you
have
may be
questions.
looking at I'm open. I'm not about pushing this at all. So I almost welcome 2 meetings because there's that much more opportunity to explain what's here. So if you want to have 2 meetings, but you're going to wind up having a second meeting in addition to this meeting, if you want to have it.
I still have questions, and these questions I can't properly ask without information that this study will provide to find out the best way forward with the township.
The best way to explain it, I suppose, Mr. Chair, is that right now the township did approve of allowing, let's just say ABC streams, tributaries, whatever, to be part of the program. This study now is to determine whether streams and tributaries, D, E, and F should be added. So it may well be that, now that I'm hearing people talk, that maybe you consider doing the study, then you have that information in front of you as to whether or not that makes sense, and then you have a little bit better, you're a little bit better informed as to whether you want to add those or not. So
How long does the study take?
We're pretty anxious to wrap it up. I imagine by the end of this, I'm already in 2025, so I believe by the middle of 2025, we will have information to present to you.
And what does the study entail?
What is involved in it?
Yeah.
We're looking at, so the Wild and Scenic Rivers Act is about protecting outstandingly remarkable values that exist in these waters. So we are looking at the DEP resources and some others to determine what outstandingly remarkable values have potential in your waters and its tributaries and your segments. In addition, we'll be taking a look, and I'll be asking for some help on this one, to look at your ordinances. Do you have ordinances that are specific to water resources? Does your master plan reference specific to natural and water resources? Suitability, eligibility, that's involved. So we'll be taking a look at eligibility and suitability criterias for these waters, and it winds up in a report.
I think it's the best thing to do, so we have something to compare it to.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, Corey. So question I have, and maybe Justin, you can answer this. So say we have business that comes in on River Road, right? And are they gonna be affected by this at all? I mean, I would think.
It's the right question to be asked. So by making the decision to go forward with this study, there can't be any effect, because even though you approved in 2015 or whenever it was, what Ron said, A, B, and C, they can't be designated until you pass a final endorsement resolution anyway. So there can be this decision tonight, if you choose to make a decision tonight in the affirmative to support the study, can't affect anything. It's going to bring you back information. At the end, so I'll take it the next step. So at the end, when we present this to you and you say, yes, we want to, you have other decisions to make. There's a gap right now that's a non-designated gap where the old Med Ed plant was. And that's from the Portland-Columbia toll bridge down to the Erie-Lackawanna Metal Bridge. That's a gap because it was industrialized, so therefore it was not designated. If there's concerns about potential industry coming in there again, it's the right thing to do to bring the National Park Service representative in to talk to you about what happens on these kind of projects with a wild and scenic river review for your consideration. I don't think you would want to make a decision without that kind of input from the agency.
But we still have the ability to keep that as a gap and adopt it everywhere else.
I would believe, yeah, I can't imagine.
Or we can have that included.
Correct.
And whoever moves into the I2, I3 zone would then just have to file with the DEP?
They don't, so,
or the
of course, they're going to do DEP, they're going to do Army, anything there, I would think is Army Corps, anything there would be Delaware River Basin Commission, and whatever withdrawal things that go on there. So when that process takes place, it triggers the Section 7 Wild and Scenic Review. So it's just an automatic process that happens behind the scenes.
But that's only if we don't keep that as a gap.
I think there's, even if it is a gap, even right now, there's a possibility that it could trigger Section 7 Wild and Scenic Review. Because of that property being there and the potential for the potential that might be there, by the time this rolls along, it was going to be recommended that you have a discussion, we have a meeting, and you hear these things directly. And you need these questions answered by the agency that does these reviews.
So the question is, do we go ahead with the study, get the information back, make a decision, or, we're starting to ask Tara questions now. Do we do that as a town hall before deciding whether to go forward with the study?
Yeah, I'd like to make the motion to adopt resolution 2024.
Oh, hold on. I still have a motion on the floor.
I agree, but, it does not preclude anything from going there. It would just designate if the wild and scenic is there or not. Is that correct?
Correct. There's nothing in here that can, unless you're building a dam, there's nothing in here that says you can't.
And you're in agreement with that, Justin?
Yes. It
All
sounds
right.
like you get another level of advisory review is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All right, on the trusted advice of my township engineer, I will rescind my motion, and I'll turn it over to you, John.
I make the motion to approve resolution 2024-21 as the reaffirmation of the expansion study for Upper Mount Bethel to join Wild and Scenic Delaware.
I'll go ahead and second that. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you for coming as always, Tara.
Thank you. I'm going to depart and take my cough with me. Good night, everybody.
Okay, next up, new business, UMBT website update. So I reviewed where the website is at. I had some questions for Stavros. Stavros and I need to set up some time to meet, but the website looks great. We just wanted to open it up to see if the other supervisors have had a chance. I think, John, you've had a chance to look at it. Jason, Corey, I know you have. Dave, have you had a chance to look at it?
I won't know what I'm looking at anyway.
Okay. So, now I guess the question is, Stavros, you and I will try and set up some time, maybe next week, probably. And then we pick a launch date. Is that how you want to do it, Stavros?
You finalize the changes you guys are requesting, I put them in, you review it again, and then we can go live as soon as you guys approve.
Okay, so as soon as the supervisors approve, we'll have our new website up and running. And then there was a discussion whether we wanted some type of website committee with like new things to put on the website, new pictures, ideas with that. I thought that might be a good idea. You know, if we had, say, 2 or 3 people on a committee that, you know, could go find different pictures, go take pictures around the township, might find current events, you know, just have things to do with the website. I don't think it can hurt, but it was just something I wanted to throw out there. Any thoughts on that?
I don't really think a committee is needed for the website. I would hope that residents would send either Cindy or Nick any pictures that you find phenomenal about the area. I think that's a bit too many cooks in the kitchen. We're trying to keep this very neat, organized. Pictures are needed.
I can agree. Maybe we don't need a committee, but
I would like all the committees that currently do exist to maybe have some say in where their selection goes.
yeah, and I would, if the supervisors are okay with it, I'd like to be the liaison for the website from the supervisor's point of view, because I try to have a big social media presence, and I think I can spill that over to the website presence. So if, you know, you guys think about it, but I'd like to be considered as a liaison. Stavros?
Yeah, so this is on, okay. I agree with the pictures. You need fresh content, keep people coming back to the website. The bigger focus for me, for you guys, is the functional, not the photos, functional, the information that goes out there. That's what I was asking you guys about. You wanted an additional photos tab. That was one of the ideas.
Yeah.
I explained about Parks and Rec. The preserve is on there. It's the informational portion that, you know, it's the main resource. It's one of the main resources for residents and anybody to find out about the township. Content from the residents, yes, but the functional components, that's what I need you guys to focus on. Creation of content or determining what should go on the website is what I have to lean on you guys for. That's not my determining factor. If you want something up there, we get it up there. Anything's possible. You just got to tell me what you want. And it's ongoing. It doesn't stop. So that's part of this. It's think of it as a living document. It shouldn't be stagnant. It should be constantly brought up to date. And so yes, whatever you guys want, you just got to tell me. Everything is possible. It just has to make sense, and we've got to put it up. Cindy's got to be able to edit it. That gets into design discussions. Just communicate. Let me know.
And that was one idea that I wanted us to, for the supervisors, to have a picture of each one of us next to our names, so people can, like, you know, if there's an event going on, oh, I know what Supervisor Albert looks like. I want to go talk to him. You know, so I think that's
More
what
people to look at the website, right?
Yeah.
Scared away, right?
Hey, you're a good-looking man. But that's why I want to be the liaison, because that's kind of how I think. It's like, how can we draw people in? And I think, you know, Stavros and I could do some cool things together. So, but I like what you said. And of course, Cindy would be the one updating and doing all that.
Just going to
stuff.
ask that you streamline communication.
Yep.
Cindy and I have almost a daily cadence of what needs to happen. She, keeps Cindy in the loop. It's been working. If you want additional pages, sub-pages, Economic Development Committee wants their own sub-page. That's going to move forward. They'll be responsible for their own page or their content. Everybody else falls, to get it to Cindy so we can get it up on the page. It's a work in progress, and it can get better, and we can add more things. Just it's got to be defined. The architecture of the site has to be defined further.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'll work with Cindy.
Yeah.
Yep. So it'll go like that. Okay.
I do think we should focus on the website actually being functional. Since if any of the residents if this is like out of left field, we tried to hire a company. We saw their product; it was very subpar. So we decided to go with tried and true, and I think keeping the work to Mount Bethel residents is something that we should strive to do on every aspect of township funds, if it applies.
Yeah, I agree. The more we can involve Upper Mount Bethel residents, the better for all of us, so. Okay, and then Supervisor Erler, you wanted to put a survey, you wanted the survey monkey.
Yeah.
Good. Let's finish up here, Mr. Chair. I make the motion to appoint Mr. Birmingham as a liaison for the website update.
Oh, thanks. Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Supervisor Erler.
Yeah, so Survey Monkey is something that we had on the previous site. It was not used for a while, and we no longer pay for it. It is something that allows the residents to have a little bit of input into certain things we might really want feedback on. I really like the first, and maybe every month we would switch it off. We have a lot of committees. Each committee has questions to what the residents might want or best ways forward. What needs to be addressed? So maybe we can rotate every month for a different committee. The supervisors we'd alternate ours in there. I want the first poll to be on there is how the residents think that this board is doing. I've gotten some iffy on that question when I was asking people, but I think that's important to us, that they elected us, and that's kind of a way to keep our flow if we are still responding to the residents' needs. And right now, without calling up people constantly, there's no way that we can really find that out.
Thoughts from other supervisors?
It's a paid service.
Would that be incorporated in your website, Salvos?
It can be. It's a subscription-based service, and I hadn't shared this yet with John, but my recommendation, if you move forward, is to go with a team account, which is 3 users. It's billed annually, but it's a per-user cost, so you're looking at $75 a month at 12 months. That will give you 50,000 responses across however many surveys you decide to put out there. Surveys are fully customizable. They can be fully anonymous. There's, you can pick anything. It could be multiple choice. It can be open-ended. You can also limit responses per survey. So if you wanted to put a survey out and say you're going to take the first 4,000 responses, technically if you did 12 of those and everybody, you maxed out 4,000, you're at 48,000, you have 2,000 left. When you exceed 50,000, it's 15 cents per response. So then moving forward, if 4,000 people respond, it's $600 per survey. That's to get started.
Yeah,
What was the rate of Survey Monkey?
It's $75 a month.
Oh, that's what you're talking about.
$75 a month, but it's billed annually, so you have to pay for the year. And they don't count how many surveys you have, they count responses. So you get 50,000 responses in any given year based on that fee. As soon as you surpass 50,000, regardless of the number of surveys or time, it's now 15 cents per response.
Are we able to IP lock that each IP?
That's
can
built
only-
into their platform, yeah. It will do IP tracking to prevent, people from going in twice.
Or 100
There's some
times?
limits, that's
Just,
correct, but yes, they do have their own measures in place to validate that it's individuals.
So I think it's a worthwhile effort to at least explore and see if it works, see if we get response off it. I think Fred is definitely going to be responding to survey, no.
Just thinking about a 360 review. Wouldn't that be wonderful for all the supervisors? It would be interesting for you to hear what people all around you think. I think it would be helpful.
Yeah.
It can be humbling.
Yeah.
You do the same thing for all of the government, the town.
Yeah, I think it's something
I
we can
suppose.
definitely
I didn't know that
explore.
we could have multiple things, so maybe if
You
Let's say,
determine.
let's say EDC posts, hey, we wanna know what your favorite business is within the town, and then under that, it can be, how do you think EDC is doing?
Oh, yeah. You design the survey. They have, depending on categories, they have like 250,000 baked questions. You can ask anything you want. You can make it multiple choice, you can make it open-ended. You can make it check boxes, all kinds of things.
In the discussion with the TAC, there are certain like intersections and traffic areas that we thought were important, but there's still parts of Mount Bethel that I don't travel very frequently, and I would like those residents to have say like, hey, we think that this has been a problem, is always a problem. And
Yeah,
it allows us to shine a light like, oh, wow, I never even considered that.
Yeah.
So it allows us to look at certain things, so.
Okay. With the discussion, do you want to make a motion? We need a motion because we are going to spend taxpayer money on this.
Yeah, I'd make a motion that we,
Look into adding a survey.
purchase Survey Monkey to add to our website, for the launch.
Survey Monkey or something more, another appropriate one
Okay.
instead of cheaper.
He knows what that was. That's what I thought, but I think he was talking about Survey Monkey.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next up, 2007 Peterbilt single axle municipal.
Yes, Mr. Chair, as we are actually getting our last truck, we thought we were gonna get two of the tandems in 2025, but actually we just received one, and we're receiving another one, the last one, by the end of December. So, in essence, we have two extra trucks. So our agreement was we were gonna sell the trucks as we get them in. So the next truck that we're gonna sell, because it's sitting there, we're paying insurance for it, not gonna get much use out of it, is a 2007 Peterbilt single axle. We wanna put that on municipal bid and get that out of our fleet. We're not replacing it or anything. It's already been replaced with the tandem that we have.
So you want a motion to put this up on
Yeah,
municipal?
I can't sell without the permission of the township board of supervisors.
Is any question from the supervisors? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other thoughts, questions? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And then, sale of the storage
Yep.
trailer.
The storage trailer that's outside, I was informed, Supervisor Friedman, we emptied out almost 80% of the storage bin, and we want to sell, he wants to dispose it, so I asked our solicitor if it's under $2,000, do we need to advertise it, and Solicitor Karasek said that other $2,000, you don't have to advertise, you can sell it to wherever you want. We offered it to Pump, that was 2 weeks ago, and Jimmy hasn't gotten back to me, so we have someone that wants to give us $1,000 for it, and just want to be able to sell that again. I need permission to dispose of it.
Okay, is there a motion on the floor?
I have a question. Is there any way that we can use this perhaps in the transition from our road crew to Eastern Industries as like a storage or?
If you want to keep it at Eastern, everything's just like everybody's saying, just put it at Eastern Industries, leave it, it's becoming a junkyard now.
Well, there's so much room
There's
down
so
there,
much
Eastern
room.
Industries to store stuff.
Yeah.
They got plenty of room down there. And those storage units are not that good unless they're well ventilated. They have a tendency to condensate, and they trap moisture in there unless they're properly ventilated.
So do you have an offer for someone who wants to buy it for $1,000?
Yeah, it was actually, I believe, purchased for $1,000,
And now you got someone who will buy it for it.
So now I'll pay for
Is
those.
there anyone here tonight willing to give us $1,200? You can go outside and look at it right now. Do I hear 1,300? All right.
Put that money toward North Bangor.
There you go. Nice. Any other questions from the supervisors?
No, I just thought that stipulation, I still need some room to clean out the garages out there, so we have to wait till it's empty.
Okay. Nick, you still want the motion at this point?
Yeah, I could hold on, we could wait until we're finished taking all the documents out of there.
Yeah, we still
You
have,
don't have to give it, he understands that we have to take all the other stuff out. Unfortunately, we can't burn, and this is what we were gonna do, so the ordinance goes to December 10th. So after that, maybe we'll be able to get rid of it.
Stealing my announcements now.
Yeah, I was gonna-
All right, are there any motions to be made by any of the supervisors?
I'll make the motion at the appropriate time, we sell the storage trailer for the amount of, what, $1,000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. At this point, we're on section 9 to go over the 2025 budget, but
That's 8.
now it became 9. when
That's
we-
right.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But at this point, it's almost 10 o'clock at night, so my thought with our budget is that we should go ahead and table this to either a separate meeting or the December 9th meeting.
I just have a question for our solicitor. If, I just made one change. Can we do that one change and vote on it on December 9th
When you say you made a change,
in the budget?
has the budget been advertised yet?
Yeah.
Be updated?
You don't have to re-advertise if it's under a certain aggregate.
Yeah, but are you under the?
Yes.
The limit
It's
of-
10% under the aggregate and 25% under a column, yeah.
If you're under, you're okay.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that we table the 2025 budget discussion to our December 9th meeting.
Second.
Any other discussion or thoughts, questions from the supervisors? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up is public comment. Anybody want to make a public comment? Come up to the podium, name, address, and Nick will give you 3 minutes. And Lee, come on up.
I was driving home before.
Oh, Lee.
Oh,
just
I'm
give
sorry,
me-
Lee McDonald, 1221 Belvedere, Porter Road. I was driving home before and I missed the pinata party for the zoning food. And I just want to kind of give you a little bit of perspective that I didn't hear in the comments that were made. Ron did raise a little bit of it. As everybody knows, it was a very long hearing. There's 11 hearings. We put about 35 to 40 hours of hearing and discussion into it. I think the board took it very seriously. Every condition that was offered by the township engineer was adopted in whole, without reservation, and an additional one was put on about turning over the facility to the township or to the municipal authority. So that part, I just wanted to make sure that everybody did understand that everybody in the majority who did vote for this did believe they were acting in the sincere best interest of the township, and we do think we came out with the best of all possible outcomes. The only other thing I would add to this, and Mr. Karasak is very familiar with this isn't the first time a special exception has come up to the township through the zoning board. There was the case in 2021 of Valley Industrial Properties. The board rejected that special exception, went right down, Judge Morganelli turned it over, and they won. Now, what was different about there, and I'll give a lot of credit to Mr. Karasak because I read Judge Morganelli's decision, was that during the hearing, the applicant, VIP, begged for conditions. They didn't want to go to court. They knew they'd win. That they didn't want to waste all the time and all the money it would take. And they threw out all kinds of conditions, and I don't know how he did it, but he did go down there. Ron, I give him a lot of credit. He came back with those conditions, but ultimately the township lost on a special exception, which the point was made in our discussions getting back to the RPL matter. A special exception isn't that hard to achieve. Everybody has their own interpretation. They made a reasonable case. And if we had rejected it wholesale and then it went down, the chance to put on conditions is gone. It could have been a binary matter of, okay, fine, you get it, you go, we're done. Instead, as I said, I sincerely believe, and I also believe the majority of the board, I won't speak for anybody else, believes that we came up with what we thought was the best possible outcome for the township. Now, great, go ahead, study whether there's an appeal. Mr. Cousins, a very skilled attorney, appears. He did a nice job. But to go and basically contest your own township in a decision like that doesn't strike me as a way of building community or I'll end there just to say that I'm surprised that it would go this far, and I don't think it would be a good outcome if we took it further. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lee. Anyone else, public comment? Ron, come on up.
I'll go next.
All right, Marty, come on up. Ron is always going to go last.
Age before beauty here. So. You know, I thought earlier in the week when I took a look at the agenda that I'd see something on there, or at least a discussion or an announcement from Supervisor Friedman on the article that was done by Anthony Salamone, that the court upheld the State Ethics Commission, which found him guilty. And, you know, I look at that in two different views. Number one, that when I was on the board and when this first went down, it was asked to Supervisor Friedman, if he was found guilty, that he would resign. It was asked twice. The first time he said he would resign, and at that time, I think, Supervisor Teal said if he was found innocent, he would make a public apology to Mr. Friedman. The second time was, I believe, Supervisor Teal had made a request and said, when the initial findings came down from the Ethics Commission that found him guilty, that would he resign? And he said, well, I still have to appeal. And Supervisor Teal said, if they find you guilty, will you step down? And he said that he would think about it. So I'm here to ask the question, if David, if you had thought about that and what your answer is, and if he doesn't step down, what type of blemish does that put on this board when trying to negotiate with said companies coming in here that have a supervisor that has been found guilty twice through an appeal and the initial process on the board, and they're actively involved in a negotiation? John, I know you teach about ethics, and I'm wondering how you would feel about that. So, just number one, I'd like to get an answer and what the rest of the board, what the rest of the board thinks.
No, I'll answer, but since Mr. Teal isn't here to defend himself, and I give Mr. Teal the consideration he's never given me. Mr. Teal has a blatant violation of the himself and a conflict of interest. I thought maybe it's minimal, but you know, if you want to make a big deal about it, we'll make a big deal about Mr. Teal and his conflict of interest. Second of all, I will, in the future, propose that the board, if they want my resignation, I will submit it to the board. But the ethics thing isn't over yet. In looking over the final adjudication that the lawyer for the Ethics Commission rendered, we found things that aren't right. I'm the proper word, obviously, whatever. But we have written to the Ethics Commission about one of these things that they, in my opinion, in my attorney's opinion, is incorrect. And this is a response. The Investigations Division has received your letter dated November 9th, 19th, 2024, as Mr. Frankenberger is no longer with the State Ethics Commission. That's the attorney for the Ethics Commission who brought these charges against me. Please forward any further correspondence to me, the new person, Jennifer Lehman. As a result of the Commonwealth Court's opinion filed on November 8th, 2024, we intend to take no further action regarding this matter at this time. So as far as I'm concerned, this isn't finished yet, because you found other discrepancies in Mr. Frankenberger's final adjudication. And Mr. Pinter yourself, I mean, you put a bold-faced lie out there that there's $100,000 in legal fees for this. It was nowhere near that. But yet you propagated that statement, and you wrote a letter to the editor for the paper with no foundation for things, trying to get people riled up. And I don't know if the text amendment itself, I don't know if there's anybody in this room who didn't think that was a controversy. I don't think there's anybody in this township who didn't think it was a controversy. Yeah, Mr. Pinter, under oath, swore that the text amendment was no different than anything else that came up in this township.
Okay.
That's completely false.
Anyone else
I've got
public
the-
comment?
Completely false.
Ron, you wanted to come up, and then Mark, you're after Ron.
Go ahead, Mark.
No, Ron, you're up. Let's go.
I knew you would want me to go next. That's wonderful. Thank you very much.
First of all, I want to say what Mr. McDonald said, I had said earlier. It's absolutely correct. I mean, built into that decision was everything, including yourself, Mr. Birmingham, and the engineer had said you'd like to see in there. I read it verbatim. So, I mean, I don't know what your grounds for the appeal would be, but again, if you just want to spend more taxpayer money on Gross McGinley, I guess you can do that. You've been doing that on a pretty regular basis. But the long and short of it is, what's the grounds for the appeal? There is no grounds for the appeal. They put into there everything that you had suggested, everything that he had suggested. What would the appeal be? But I want to go beyond that. Tonight could be right now the most important evening in the future of Upper Mount Bethel Township, what I've sat here to watch. If you followed things like Amazon, and you followed the situation out in Limerick, which I'm sure none of you did, Amazon could pull out of here tomorrow morning. You understand what you have if Amazon pulls out? All the good stuff that you would have if you would negotiate with Amazon would be gone. What these people would have is exactly what they didn't want. Truck traffic, warehouses, all that other stuff that they didn't want.
Let him have his comment.
So, come on, Ron.
Can you get the peanut gallery,
Go ahead.
The long and short of it is, this is the most important decision. I don't know whether they know it, they're on a different channel than I am. But you have the decision here, and tonight, instead of saying, we're going to negotiate with Amazon and get what's best for the township, you've appeared to me to be throwing up more roadblocks. So, take a look at Limerick. Amazon doesn't need Upper Mount Bethel Township. Certainly, Upper Mount Bethel Township could have a lot of benefits if Amazon with a data center would come. And including, I'm not so sure the data center would need drip irrigation. These people were concerned about drip irrigation. I don't know if they need that. They need water and electricity. That's what AI is all about. So tonight, you may have sat here and procrastinated and kind of doodled around a little bit, but you haven't really done much of anything in the way of action. So maybe you can explain to all those 6,000 taxpayers out there in Upper Mount Bethel Township, what you've done here tonight was the right thing. Let me tell you, it will go down in history as absolutely the wrong thing. I don't know what you're laughing about, Mr. Early, but I don't find it at all comical.
We did make a motion to retain a consultant to whoever would be in there, because we understand that we want to do what's best for the township, and we want to make sure that we do it correctly.
often hear this cost. Pardon me?
Time's up, just so you
Give
know.
him 30
This-
seconds to
Well, Ron,
respond.
I just want to say that these are the
Has
same
anybody else's 30
exact
seconds
2
been up?
points that you made in your first public comments.
Yeah, the point is, though, you have to understand with Amazon, Amazon can go other places. I guess some of you feel maybe you want Amazon to go somewhere else. You understand what you have just said is you're saying you don't have the ability to decide what's best for the township and what Amazon could do for the township. You want to hire somebody else to do this, and I hear this term from Mr. Cole all the time, a cost-benefit study. I mean, he ought to copyright that cost-benefit study number, okay? That's insane. I've lived in the real business world my whole life. I do understand business, but I don't understand anything else. But I'm going to tell you, tonight will be a deciding factor, very well, whether Amazon comes or doesn't come. Because Amazon
All
can
right,
go
all
anywhere.
right,
else.
Ron. Thank
Okay.
you, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the wonderful job you've done. Thank you.
We're under a
Yeah,
confidentiality
go ahead, now you can.
agreement, so we can't comment.
Well, then you've told the
Go
general
ahead,
public,
you're
I don't know how
done,
many
Ron.
times,
You're done.
you blurted it
Mark?
out to everybody in the township.
Go ahead, Mark.
Mark Metzger, 114 Cedar Court. First of all, I want to address Mr. McDonald's comment. The zoning board completely acted outside of their jurisdiction. The case did not meet the requirements for a special exception, and it should have been a conditional use under the jurisdiction of the Board of Supervisors. That was said, okay, there's no one in this room that truly understands the industry and the business of data centers. Hiring a consultant is the first good step towards doing that. It's going to require a community benefit analysis and agreement to be worked out. That would be preceded or followed by a development agreement, okay? It's going to take probably 3 years to negotiate. And you know what? If Amazon doesn't want to do that, there's probably 12 other data center companies that would be willing to come in and do that. So we are in a position to get the best, absolute best deal for Upper Mount Bethel. And that's good business.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone else, public comment? All righty, moving on, any announcements? Nick?
Just a couple quick ones. So like I mentioned before, the county has a burn ban still in effect, even though it rained. We're getting a lot of phone calls, and actually people that are burning are not calling. It's till December 10th. So just be aware of that. Also, bulk pickup will be on this Saturday instead of Friday because of the holiday. And I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Just note that Thursday pickup is Friday. So
Yeah, Thursday will be Friday, and Friday will be Saturday for bulk.
So Thursday is Friday, now I'm all confused. All right, I'm gonna put my garbage out on Sunday and Monday.
Leave it out.
Put your garbage out tonight and eventually get picked up. If you can put the days, thank you. Okay, thank you, Nick.
All right.
Supervisor Albert. Supervisor Erlin.
Just that the EDC meeting is going to be tomorrow night instead of Thursday night due to Thanksgiving. I really hope that any business owner or entrepreneur in Mount Bethel come to an EDC meeting. They're really trying to promote the township, and the more input that they have from small or large business, the better. The better they can do that.
That's a joke.
Thank you. Supervisor Friedman.
Nothing at this time.
Supervisor Ekman.
Nothing at this time.
All right, just a couple quick things. First, wanted to thank Upper Mount Bethel residents. We did a fundraiser for the Lockwood family. They had run on hard times, and they were looking to raise $2,000. And in under 24 hours, residents came together, and we got them over $2,300. So thank you, everyone who donated to that. I will meet with John sometime next week, but the Christmas decorating contest, we'll put the announcement out there. I think it's just a quick phone call between you and me, how we're gonna do it. I will set up the rules, but I'll reach out to you on that. The Christmas event at the Chelsea Sun, I don't know what's gonna happen with that right now. we may move the event, it may go to the firehouse, it may be here at the township building, maybe it'll be here at the township building. But I'll keep you posted on that. And then, I will be scheduling office hours in the next week or so, and I'll also be scheduling a community town hall with the neighboring municipalities. This is being done on the Centronia ambulance proposal and also development that's coming to UMBT, knowing that many questions may not be answered in terms of development because there is a confidentiality agreement that we have discussed with the company. So I'll keep you posted on that, but at least we can talk about with the neighboring municipalities. We can hopefully talk about Centronia ambulance. We're waiting for them to come back with their proposal, and I'll keep you updated on that. Otherwise, that's it. Announcements are done. Night is done. Once again, I just want to say thoughts and prayers to the Howard family and Chelsea's son. Something to think about is if there's something we want to do for them in the future. So supervisors, put your thinking caps on. Any residents, if you have any ideas, please reach out to us and let's do what we can for them. Otherwise, have a very happy Thanksgiving. We do have, I want to thank you to those who donated turkeys. We have 2 families that the township is going to feed for Thanksgiving, so thank you for that. 3 families that the township. Oh, excellent. 3 families. So thank you to all. Have a happy Thanksgiving. We may have our differences, but we all agree we live in a beautiful place in the USA. Have a good night. I want to keep talking.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll second it.
Aye.
Have a good night.